Hi, I'm Jeremy. Welcome to our farm, Cornucopia Orchards. Well, this is the price you pay for joyriding, I guess. We're here by the lower end of the house, and if you've watched the videos far enough back, you know what goes underground right through here. That is the line down from the shop for our septic. And I snapped that off, just nudged that with a tire. Thank goodness it just, as far as I can tell, there's no damage down low below that in that that clean out Y combo. And so I just cut off all the broken bits of that thing. It was sticking up too high, and that's why this happened. And we're gonna reattach it, but first I could use this tool that I used once or twice in the house to great effect, and gotta clean that piece out again.
Your hand is in the way. So this is the camera right here, up here on the side. So you can't hold your hand where that part is. There, now do you see? Here we go.
Good news is that the bit worked just fine. I'll show you that in a second. And I have everything I need on hand to be able to repair this, since that part didn't break. So we've cleared that out, and it does leave a rough edge, this particular bit does. So we are going to just cover that in our cement. Oh, careful, buddy. All right, here we go. Just got to get that bad boy in there. Once it starts, it should be good to go down. Oh, come on, you. Okay, and we got that. I measured to leave myself just a hair to where it wouldn't bottom out, and that's what we have. So that's just gotta sit. I'm gonna stomp on it for just a second longer. And all fixed. Got that thing to where just the knob is sticking up just at the surface level that we have right now. Eventually that will be under some gravel, more than likely, and that suits me just fine. I don't want this thing. I'm never gonna need to use this. This ABS pipe is slicker than all get out. Good to have it just in case. Better to have it when it ain't gonna break. Got a little bit of a project going on up here at the top of the hill. Decided that what had originally been planned to be a greenhouse space right in here on this side next to the cisterns, which was a power and water decision, but we decided not to limb up this oak and brush off some of this stuff through here, and it may even have required us to take out some of what's in there to really get enough light in this space, because we've got these trees from the neighbors. This bank here isn't really affected in the summer, but yeah, so south face is this way, and we just decided maybe there's a better spot for it, which meant that this can be something else. This is the top access road, which is kind of, farm access for us. We mostly come up, residentially speaking, on the lower half. We have two ways to get to our property, and so with this top access road being primarily farm, I have this great big gate here for an entry, and right behind me, this is just a great spot for farm equipment storage. So what I'd like to do long term is put in a little equipment shed here, and in the meantime, parking pad, place for me to put the trailer behind me here. And I want to try and get that done, even if we can't do the building itself. And that's partly just because we've got kind of a mess here on the side where we've got all kinds of stuff. We've got the farm trailer up there, and we've got the metal siding, and I just want to get this cleaned up so we can use this space better. So right now it's not doing us any favors. You can see we're working on the slope of the hill. I don't have the right implement on my tractor to really be able to cut in properly. Let me get you a backed up picture here. Now you can see it a little better before I fall off into the ditch behind me. We're coming downhill, and so I'm gonna cut in this way up towards the top, and then that way we'll be coming off of the road here, and then we'll come down here. And if you're coming in right here, it'll be level. And then if you're coming in on this end, you'll be coming up onto a little entry. So I'm gonna split the difference. So this is a farm building that we would eventually be building. And so with us being in what Oregon calls EFU, basically it's farm only. And that land, I don't have to get a building permit for what the building is. I only have to get a building permit for where it can be relative as far as setbacks go. And so behind me here is the property line. Once you come up this little bump, about 5 feet in past that's our property line. And so we need to be off of that a certain distance. And I believe it's 20 feet, which we should easily clear. If this were a non-ag building that we were going to be building, it would be different. You know, residentially, it's 100 feet. But that also would obviously involve an engineered structure the county would require. By the way, right up here is where we'd actually hoped to build our house, but our property has this little sliver of non-EFU where we can build our house, and the rest is only for farm buildings and farming. Pretty far back into the hillside here, and there was a tree here. You can see that there's a chunk, and this thing is not budging with my tractor bucket. I'm gonna try and just chip away around it and see if I can get that, you know, at least exposed enough to where I can then kill it with something else. Here we are in October up on scaffold. Have one more move up here to go, and then we're down there. So Casey's been working on paint. We finally got some sun coming out. It's been very cloudy today and the paint has not been wanting to dry, but we're getting this area in here done. And tomorrow, hopefully we'll get this moved. Scaffold moved one more time over there. And then after that, it's all gonna be down low stuff minus, I did discover that on the other side, one of these stupid joints on these gutters, which I thought I had just covered in that septic smelling stuff, but apparently not enough. It's got a slow drip, and I don't care for that. See all these little black dots? No, those are not raisins. They're stink bugs, and they're swarming, which means, because the house is not perfectly sealed yet, that I will be cleaning them up all winter long. They are all over this wall right now. You can kind of see them on that window screen. And yeah, they're everywhere. Happens every year around this time. It's only going to get worse. As I was just saying, demons. Shh. Gutter guard in. Metal up, all painted. This gable's done. Thank goodness. So now we are on to this roof. Starting tomorrow, I'm gonna get started on this thing. Got to pull off, clean off, and tape everywhere where there's a screw going down through the substrate. And once that is done, we can start putting on the metal. Now, I'm not sure yet, but I think I'm gonna run the far side first, and then come back and run the middle, and then finish out in this corner. Since this window is an easy way in, we'll see what we do.
Hi. Trying to figure out where the phone clip was coming from.
Now, as I take these apart, I'm going to go ahead and just give myself a little mark so that I know where to look for that hole, because you might be surprised if you haven't done this, but it can be kind of hard to find. I'm gonna put one here just in case that one went far enough. Where that where it went through. And this will give me a good indicator. So this is how I dealt with the fact that we run up here and then slope down here. I used a little platform. Figured, put some struck screws in and tie it all nice together. That one's just flat 2x4, and then another board coming across it, and then one on a end. And those are actually just scraps. I'm not even 100% positive that those aren't cutouts from the rafter tails, but those two things together gave this platform, it's 3/4 board, plenty of strength for ladder for me to be able to just lean it up into this space and have it flat. versus, obviously over here it can be flat because this roof is, in plane relative to this wall, whereas this and that aren't. The day's here. We are finally getting started on this roof. Been a long time coming. It's nice that this is such a low slope roof because it gives me an ability to actually show you what I'm doing. The upper roof was not easy. So here's the second piece of metal setup. Let me show you what we're doing with these ones that are going in the middle that aren't cut with angles on the top edge. So first, here's our bottom edge, and you'll notice that I have cut in on each side and just bent this piece up and under. It's not all the way. You can see that in the profile there probably. And that's to wrap around the edge here. It comes up underneath. It provides what's called an anti-siphon edge to this material. And so this is a single piece that goes up and then back out and then up onto the top. And this is gonna wrap that. So getting water up underneath this roofing material is gonna be pretty close to impossible. And that's just an extra measure that is taken on some of these roofs with a much smaller slope. So this roof is, well, asterisk. Remember, this is the first roof that we actually started to work on, really. And we made some changes. And I honestly don't remember whether I intended to or not, but this is not a 3-on-12 and it's not a 4-on-12. It's a 3.5-on-12. Pretty much exactly a 3.5-on-12. And I don't remember if there was a reason that I did that, but that is what it is. In fact, on a low slope roof, you have a lot of issues, or can have a lot of issues with water, and anything less than 4-on-12 with at least the roofing that we're using, they recommend this system. So I'll show you what it looks like up here. Here's the edge profile. So you've got this, which actually goes down to the gutter. You've got this piece that comes down, and you can see it comes out to this tip. So that metal that I'm working goes on like this. Up here, I went through and I cut that. So we have our vent, and on the top, I am doing a bend up as well. Not a huge one. I think I'm gonna settle on a 1/2 inch on top and a 1/2 inch on the bottom. And I have a couple of reasons for that. It should be enough in combination. I have a piece that goes in there in front of it. That should be enough to prevent the water from going through. If you recall, with this piece of metal up here, they were supposed to send me a vented end wall piece, and they didn't send me any. And so what I have is just a normal end wall piece there, and I'm having to make it work with, and there's not nearly as much clearance. So I have to do this very carefully to make sure that I can still have good airflow through that space for this roof. So now up on the roof, there's one more piece of the puzzle before we can get started. And that is, where do we start? So these windows are open sideways ones, and they're in the bathroom. So it's kind of high up, hard to get out on these. And this is where we've been coming out onto this roof. So it makes sense in that standpoint of starting on that end and doing all that first, and then coming in back and doing this stretch through here. And I think what we're going to actually end up doing is we're going to be working this middle section going that way first, and then we'll do that side, and then we'll come back over to here. Would mean I'm not walking too much on the metal, essentially just taking a few pieces over there, and less if I have someone hand them up to me on that side. But I want to make sure that these come out right, this middle part, because I'm wanting them to match up to our battens. We did that up here, and I think it looks really nice from a distance. Obviously the angle we're at right now doesn't look like they are, but they're pretty close. So remembering that these are 16 plus 3/16 of an inch because of the spacing, that's why this isn't exactly lined up, but in the middle, they are exactly lined up. And so I want these ones down here to also be exactly lined up for the ribs. Didn't have to do that. That's just what we chose and we thought would look really nice. So the next step is we need to set this up on the roof such that these pieces are lined up and they're going to come back this way to wherever we start and still be lined up as we then go into that field. And of course, all of the ones that are coming down through here have cuts as you follow along this hip. So I could try and start here with this little bitty one and work my way this way, but I think that's a really bad idea for a variety of reasons. So what we're going to be doing instead is we're going to be starting basically with the first full piece, and then I'm going to push in the next piece and just not secure that metal down, you know, on this whole side. It will not be secured down. That will allow me to just lift that piece up, that metal up, and then I can put in the next one and secure it down, and I can work that way, you know, lift up this one side, screw down the next piece, and then I'll hammer the sheet into its friend. And as long as I have this correct, you know, perpendicular to the building to start, then that should work smoothly. Which means our first task is actually to make figure out how we get it perpendicular to the building. So we're just doing a 3, 4, 5 triangle, same as on the top roof. In this case, the roof is so small that I'm doing a 6, 8, 10. So I just used this as one of my measure points to start. And then I came over, that's a foot in. So I came over and again, a foot in right here. You can see that line there. And then 6 feet, 1 foot in. And then I just took off of this point, I took the tape measure and ran it up, and I drew myself, you know, very rough, but I drew myself a little arc of what that 10 or that 8 foot was. So then to complete the 3, 4, 5, tape measure goes down to the line that's down there, and then we measure up to here, and we find the cross section where it comes through and touches that cross point is the top of the line. And then this first point, this data point here, is the bottom of the line. And if we edge against that with our first sheet, then everything that follows after, or measure over and then mark, and then measure over the same distance and then mark, rather, is what we're actually going to be doing. But if we do that, then everything should flow this way and stay aligned to the building and to the roof, and everything over here, you know, to the corner should be the same. Okay, this is super simple. So on the bottom, we just pulled this over and put it to 5.5, and then up here I have a line that corresponds to the on centers that I want, you know, that corresponds to these. And I'm just gonna, to where it just shows, just barely, so I can see it. And then right here, we're at 5 3/8, okay? So then down here, I just correct for that 1/8. You know, make sure that we're at 5 3. And just pull that just a hair over. And then now, we have this perpendicular, and as we put sheets that way and bring sheets this way, they should stay aligned to the building. Okay, so went ahead and drew myself a pencil line. It goes all the way up here. And now this is super simple for me to do this. All I've got to do is just measure off that line, and I can put a check mark, another check mark down here, and as long as I, you know, keep that check mark there and this one up here in line for the very first sheet, I could actually come a ways into the angles for my first sheet and make it a little easier on myself. But it's something that you could do, is to pull off of that line that you've made, that you now know is a straight line and is aligned with the rib, and, you know, where you want to have those sheets be, and you could pull that all the way over, to be honest. And, you know, as long as you still have 2 points, I could put that all the way at the bottom on the very first sheet. It would definitely be a bit of a cross my fingers and hope it looks good, but I could do it. Here's a second sheet. Let's test it, see if it's what I want it to be. And it's actually gonna be the first sheet that I install, I think. We're way over there. Got like that on the bottom. There's our line. So here we are on the top. Just line that up like that. We'll go check the bottom and make sure we're still good. I believe we're like right there. That looks pretty reasonably good. Remember, this is going to be covered. So yeah, I'm okay with that. I could have done something with this to where it went back, you know, and then came out for the vent piece. I think we're okay the way we are. That will be more than adequately covered. All right, first sheet on the one way. And I think we're looking fairly good here. It's hard to tell with this one being offset, but I realized this piece here on these, that's going to come out right, needs, you know, this is going to overlap that, so that this piece here needs to be able to fold. So either we cut that off on the edge, that's probably what I'll do, because the other side's going to fold over it, or we cut it and fold it in like I did here.
Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.